The Chitrik Academy is dedicated in loving memory of Rabbi Tzvi Hirsh Chitrik.
Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to learn from Tanya, the end of the line is Rosh Tevis of Shimon, until Echad, it's the end of the line. We're going to learn a Braisa today, which we are going to divide into two parts. One we'll learn in this lesson, and the next part we'll learn in the next lesson. That's what we have. The one and the two is the second part of this Braisa. Let us begin. Tanya, we learned in a Braisa, Moide Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Reb Shimon ben Elazar will agree, Bekelim Chadashim, Shasvatan Ha'ayin, new kelim, new vessels that a person is used to, the eye is used to, he can recognize it, Shechayev Lahachriz, that he has to call it out and try to return it. We mentioned in previous lessons, this refers to Talmud Chachamim, which we believe them if they say they recognize something. However, there is an exception. Ve'elehein kelim chadashim shlo yisvatan ayin. And these, which we're going to mention now, are new vessels, new kelim, which we say a person will not recognize them, and therefore the halacha will be she'ein chayav lahachriz, that he does not need to return it, he does not need to call it out to try to find the owner. What are these new kelim, these new vessels that a person, we say, will not recognize, and therefore does not need to be returned if found? Kegoin, for example, bade mechatin, a string of needles. We will discuss what bade means later in the Gemara. B'tzinoireis, or a string of forks that they would use to spin gold. Umachrezes shel kardumis, or a string of axes, a string which holds a lot of axes together. These things we say because it's small, or because of the way it's made, people will not be able to recognize it if it's new, and therefore the person who finds them does not need to return them. Now let us continue in the Braisa. Kol elu sha'amru, all these things that we said that a person needs, it may keep it, a masai, all these things that a person may keep, a masai mutarin, when is it permitted to keep? Bizman shematzon echad echad. This is if he found individually, then he'll be able to keep them. Aval matzon shnayim shnayim. But if he found them two by twos, if he found a few together, then chayiv lahachriz, he will be chayiv to return them. Because, like as we learned earlier, if a person says the number of how many things were lost, the minyan, it is considered a siman. Therefore, if the person says how many were lost, then the person who found them must return to him. Now we are going to discuss, we mentioned bade mechatin, which we mentioned were strings of needles. So this is the first case we mentioned, string of needles. This case number one. How much of needles on a string? Case number two was if the special forks that were used to spin gold were also on a string. And here is the case number three, axes that were tied up in a string, that were held together on a string. Now, we said that these are called bade. What holds them together, it's on a string. By both these things are called bade. So now the Gemara is going to say, how do we know that bade means strings? That, or something that holds something together. That is what we're going to discuss now in the Gemara. My bade, what is bade? So Gemara answers, let's make a question mark here. Gemara answers, shuchei. It literally means branches, which means something that holds, something which holds it together. Va'amai karule bade. So why are we calling these things that hold these things together, these needles or the forks, why are we calling them bade? If bade means means branches, why are we calling these bade? So the Gemara answers, davar de talube midi, something which holds another object, which people hang things on. Bad karue. It's called bad. Therefore, we call bade mechatin and tzinoiris because Bad means a branch which it holds something on. Branches hold leaves on them. And Gemara is going to bring a proof. Let's mention this is the proof. Ki ahu detnan hasam, like it says over there in Mishnah, Allah echad bevad echad. One leaf is on one branch, because the branch is holding the leaf. So we see that bad is something which holds something else. Therefore, that's why the Gemara mentions bade. That's why it says in the Brisa, bade, which can refer to the strings that hold the needles together, or that hold the forks, or the axes. And this is the end of this lesson.